We've talked a lot this week about the taxpayers' burden in New Mexico, whether it be Spaceport America or the overpayment of unemployment benefits. And our last topic also follows that theme, this time when it comes to cleaning up abandoned oil and gas infrastructure. Should a company go belly up? A new study commissioned by the State Land Office finds taxpayers could be on the hook for more than $8 billion. It's a complicated issue, but basically comes down to steps companies have to go through to set aside money for cleanup should they go bankrupt. That's part of getting a drilling permit, but in the wake of this new report, Land Commissioner Stephanie Garcia Richards says those assurances only really cover the plugging of wells and not all the other remediation that goes into shutting down abandoned well sites. And Serge, are you surprised we're just realizing this as a state? I mean, that's $8 billion. That's a pretty good surprise.
It is, a bit surprising to think that folks didn't actually think about, what the actual costs are going to be and the potential for damage. Mm-hmm. It's not clear to me how recently this issue has been revisited, and the bond prices, many of these were set decades and decades mm-hmm. ago. They don't even keep up with inflation, let alone the costs of plugging new wells, and didn't take into account any other additional remediation. So this has been a slow moving development, but one that probably, I don't know, again, how recently this was looked at, mm-hmm. but it seems like it was fairly predictable that these costs would be included in the cleanup.
Senator, according to the study, the financial assurances provided by the companies currently in operation will only cover about $200 million of the total remediation costs. That's a big gap from $8 billion. You know what I mean? So we got to do something here. What does your political instincts tell you how we fix this?
Well, first of all, be very political. I have to always, when you're evaluating whether you believe a report or not, one mm-hmm. of the things you look at is who paid for it. And the fact that it was paid for by the land commissioner, who has consistently, even back through her campaign, not been a great friend of the oil and gas industry. So it makes me a little suspect. That's my political viewpoint. What we're going to do about it is another thing. I guess there's a part of me that says, why do we suddenly think we're going to have all these bankrupt companies? Mm-hmm. Yes, COVID has impacted it some, but the biggest thing is I think the fact that everyone is pretending that we're going to get to solar and wind energy at the level of which revenues produced by oil and gas in, say, the next 10 or 15 years, when people are making commitments to be all solar by that time. Mm-hmm. I think that's the unrealistic part. So if that was physically possible to do, then yes, we would have companies go bankrupt, a lot of companies, over the next 15 or 20 years. Mm-hmm. But I don't see us going away from oil and gas that quickly. I think that it takes longer to produce the jobs and the energy mm-hmm. because we don't have the lines, as we've all been aware of, to transmit the energy itself, the power lines. We don't have the grid.
That's right.
So I think there are a lot of things that go into this that nobody talked about. Mm-hmm. I just don't see that many companies going bankrupt in the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I think $8 billion is an awfully big number.
Good point there. Tom, part of the issue is the state bonding requirements. They're tiny relative to all these costs we're talking about here. We talk a lot about what oil and gas brings to the state. Senator just mentioned this, but it's not going to last forever. And these costs are notoriously hard to recoup. Bonding was last updated decades ago, as Senator just mentioned as well. Are lawmakers too eager to listen to industry lobbyists, in your view? What's going on here?
Well, that's a whole other topic right there. Here's where there's a need, and I think that there's a little bit of political play and mm-hmm. such. According to different media reports, there have been about 277 wells that have been capped. And that's what the bonds are being set aside for, is for the cleanup of those particular capped wells. With the narrative really focusing on fossil fuels not being really a transition from there. And we've seen a couple of things recently in a court in Denmark, as well as a Fortune 500 oil and gas company having an environmentalist now as a part of their board. That there is going to be a shift, in that general area, which could result in additional wells being capped. And so I think that on one hand, the land commissioner is smart to get ahead of that and to say, okay, what are the potential costs? Is the state of New Mexico covered? On the other, I think that since we haven't really heard from industry and any of the media coverage that I saw, that the industry is probably scratching their heads going, okay, wait a second, is this really an accurate assessment of the current state of affairs?
Right.
So, I think that this is a conversation that will have to continue and have a lot more input from the industry. But I think it's a good start to the conversation. And one particular remedy, as the commissioner has identified, is to increase the bonding rates, which are pretty significant. From $25,000 per
Right.
well to $150,000 a well.
That's right.
It's a lot of cash.
That's right. Her quote is, "We need to right-size our bonding requirements, our assurance requirements on any development that happens on state land," and that seems pretty clear. Serge, how does the governor's push towards renewable energy sources affect this discovery? I want to follow up, obviously, where Senator was at a little bit ago, but is this impactful, where the governor wants to go? She's been very clear on this in this financial situation.
I think so. I think that you see what's going on around the world, right? This is, an industry dependent on the price of a commodity that they have no control over. And although it's not quite as fragile as it looked maybe a year ago, it's, there's still lots of potential for the cost of developing and operating these wells to be more than the economic value of doing so relatively soon, relatively quickly, relatively easily, even in the absence of this push towards renewables. But with that in mind, yeah, I think it's absolutely a factor. And I think I agree with Senator Snyder that this is not, a crisis that we need to rush out to and fix in this, right at this moment. It's not all falling apart, but there's a lot of potential for that. And it's something that we need to keep in mind. And yeah, it's accelerating because of this push. I imagine it is going to accelerate based on the push towards renewables, which is a good thing.
Senator, real quick, we're just pinched on time, but I want to get this in. There was a House memorial this past session. I'm sorry, my fault. The 2020 session that called for a review of all energy bonds, but it never made it anywhere. Did lawmakers sort of miss the moment there?
I think at the time, memorials, as you know, have no effect in law. They mean nothing other than the fact that usually if you pass one, they'll do a little study of something. And it could have simply been a time crunch. I don't know the exact reason, but I don't see it being, all it called for was a study. And I just don't see that there was any great political opposition to killing it or any memorial.
Right. Tom, just real quick on that last thought there. Memorial is a memorial, as Senator mentioned. Is it just not? Are we going to get serious here and take that step past memorials into something a little more concrete?
Well, all roads lead to the budget. And so until the legislators and the governor really come together to say, how are we going to replace the potential lost revenue from the oil and gas industry, until those serious conversations have been held, then all I think we're going to see are memorials that get tabled.
There you go. There will be public meetings coming up to discuss this issue, and we'll do our best to share that information with you when we have it. I want to thank all of our line panelists for joining us this week. I'm back in just a second with some final thoughts for the week.